On today's episode, we go deep inside the world of Las Cafeteras. Trust me when I tell you this can only be seen on LatiNation. What's up and welcome to LatiNation. I'm your host Humberto Guida. I'm chilling in Venice where I usually chill out to bring you some cool stories, including the one that we're kicking off with today. We're gonna go deep inside the world of Las Cafeteras. They're a rock band from Los Angeles and they represent Los Angeles to the fullest. They're about Chicano empowerment. And we're gonna go deep inside their world. We're gonna find out how hard it is to be a rock band because they're gonna be playing a concert, they're gonna be in the mix, they're gonna be running all over the place, and we're gonna be in the middle of it. Check this out.
Right here. I want you to put some dip in that hip right now. You know what I mean? Come on. I want you to move like your man.
Ready? Everybody look at it.
Come on.
Ready?
Café con
I first heard Son Jarocho music at a community garden in South Central called the South Central Farm. From there, I was like, man, this music's amazing, Son Jarocho. I don't even know how to say that or what it is, but it sounds so good. And then I would rap over it at this garden. They'd have like protests and community events. And I was like, man, these guys are cool. So then I heard that there were lessons happening at a place called the Eastside Cafe.
I met Las Cafeteras in around 2007. I was learning Son Jarocho music at Tia Chucha's. It's a community center in the San Fernando Valley. And one of my teachers told me that there was this group of really cool people playing music together in this park near my home in Highland Park.
I was one of the co-founders of the Eastside Cafe. There was a lot of us. There was many of us who organized different events around El Sereno, and we called it the Eastside Cafe. It wasn't a place, it was a state of mind.
Y luego fui to the Eastside Cafe in Northeast LA in El Sereno. And it's cool because I spent a lot of my time as a childhood in El Sereno with family. So it was just down the street. I went and I brought my guitar, like an acoustic guitar, and they looked at me like, and I was like, hey, that's all I got. Cool. So I played, and poco a poco, we just played every Saturday for hours, like Tuesdays for hours. Our friend Angela taught us Son Jarocho music. And con tiempo, like, it started becoming this thing where people would ask us to play. Hey, play this, come play this wedding, come play this community protest, come play this garden. So we would go, we would play, and sometimes we had the lyrics to the traditional sones, like on our jarana, the guitar. And we'd be like, you know, para bailarla, bamba, you know, así. Hey, así aprendimos, you know, like we're like little chicanitos learning some of our culture.
So we became like students of Son Jarocho, playing what we thought was Son Jarocho, or our interpretation of it. As the years go by, well, you know, it's interesting because Jarocho music is music from the southern Gulf Coast of Mexico, is music from the countryside, from música de, pues como del campo in Mexico. And so, well, none of us are from. That's not our reality. That's not where we grew up. We grew up listening to hip hop, to rock, to reggae, to ska, rap, and so like, we like this music, you know. So we want to kind of, you know, we want to play like Jarocho, but we like Jarocho, but we also want to play this stuff. So as the years passed, we started sort of like mixing the music, mixing the different influences, mixing the genres, and so it's sort of like music that's inspired by Son Jarocho, yet at the same time contains a lot of contemporary genres and sounds.
So one day I went to check it out and they were playing at a park right near my house that I grew up in. And I just joined. And at about that time, there was like 20 people just practicing Son Jarocho music. We were all sort of just students of the music, trying to learn and have fun.
And then at some point we're like, are we a band? And we're like, we're not a band. Yeah, we are. No, we're not. Yeah, we're not. We're a collective. We're this. We're a group. So we're kind of like a band that wasn't trying to become a band, but we are.
La bamba, señores,
years past, we came down and we were 9 members, and then we were 7 members, and then now we're 6 members. So, the core group is, myself, Jose, David, Leah, Hector, Denise, and Daniel. So there's 6 of us right now.
We're rocking music, we're rocking shows, we're playing music festivals, and one of the things about like our name, right? People are always like, well, Las Cafeteras, but you're a guy, so how does that work? And are you saying you're a woman, or what are you saying? So because we come from a center called the Eastside Cafe, people will call us the Cafeteros. Ahí vienen los cafeteros. So that was cool. And then at one point we're like, pero hay mujeres. So how are we? It's kind of whack. They're all called the guy cafeteros. What if we called ourselves the cafeteras and we're the ladies, so to speak?
The cafeteras, there isn't a leader of cafeteras. There isn't one person who gets paid more. There's not one person who gets paid less. We all get the same, Decisions are not made by one person. Decisions are collectively made. Usually, we strive for consensus. So basically, if we have to make a decision, then we talk about it, and then hopefully we all agree after after talking about it. If not, then we'll go to a vote. And so that's kind of how we do with everything. And so I don't know about other bands, I don't know about other groups, but I know as us, that's the way we roll. And so like as a collective, there's not one person who has more power or less power than other people. And so I think that it takes forever to make decisions, forever. But that's democracy. Like if you want democracy, it's gonna take time. And and so I always talk about that because we're not a group. We have a collective vision, a common goal, versus a group that may or may not have an ethos or philosophy or a common vision for where they want to go. And so for us, that's really important.
Mi corazón, ay arriba, ay arriba, ay arriba, ay arriba, y arriba, yo no soy por la guerra, yo no soy por la guerra, te apoyaré,
¿Qué hubo? Pégale, pégale.
That's what's cool about our group is we just put, we put the tacos together with like French fries, and it's like we grew up like my mom at family parties, or my grandparents would have mariachis come and play. In fact, I saw an old video of me dancing as a little baby to La Bamba, like at a family party. That's really funny. And now, we do all kinds of stuff to the music. And we grew up in 2 worlds. We grew up being like not, at least I did, I grew up being not Mexican enough at school. I didn't speak Spanish. But then I was like really Mexican to my white friends, oh, you're Mexican. I go to your house and you're eating beans and rice, and So we live in both places, and we get to mix from both worlds in English and Spanglish and Spanish.
I don't understand all the Spanish we're singing, but I have a connection. Yeah, I think there's part of it is language, right? And we're telling story with the language. But I think the other part of music is sound. And I think sound, regardless of language, is a feeling. It's a vibration. And so I think that's a whole other element of what we want to offer people. Is this vibration, this feeling, this feel good, this hopefulness. We put a lot of heart, and so we want people to feel our heart.
But there's something about Jarocho that's very inviting, that's very like communal, where you can participate with if you know some basics, then you could participate quicker than let's say jazz, where you have to be really, really good to play jazz, or you have to be really good to play salsa. You have to really like know a lot of stuff. And Jarocho, in the sense that it can be very technical, at the same time it could be very basic to the point where you can participate in a matter of just maybe a couple of hours of practicing a couple things. So I think that's something that, you know, over in a lot of places in the US, people are sort of gravitating to Jarocho because it's inviting, because people can participate. And I think we're part of that group that felt invited, you know, to partake, to learn, and to play Jarocho music. So I think I would say that's what brought us to this music.
We're gonna get free, right? My people, we gonna get free! Let's get free now!
see her when she plays on the, see her fingers. See her fingers when we play, dude? Forget it.
They call her finger dancer.
Finger dancer.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how rumors get started, man. That's how rumors get started.
Edit that out.
When we sit down and we're writing music, it's we just talk about what we want to talk about, and so you know there's a lot of things going on in the world, and so some of that comes out. There's heartbreak, there's interpersonal stuff, there's stuff that happens with friends and family, there's stuff happening. You have people like presidential candidates saying things about who we are as Latinos or as Native people, but basically, you know, we get together and we say, well, what are the stories we want to share, and we share those stories.
I think I never consider myself an artist until very recently. I've really embraced that, but before I didn't consider myself an artist. But I did consider myself a writer. And there would be sort of like sparks of inspiration, and then you almost kind of get blinded, like, oh snap, like, lo sientes.
We all do writing. It's a really cool process because we work collaboratively, so everyone writes, whether it's music notes or lyrics or harmony. Everyone contributes in one way or another. It's also a little challenging because sometimes like everyone will want to write on the same song, and then we'll have like a 20-minute song that we have to edit. So it's a lot of work, but it's really fruitful.
When we're writing music, it's like como que es like estamos cocinando en la cocina, and like with a bunch of us, and so somebody says, oh, like yeah, like I like your caldo, but it needs a little cebolla, And then, so then somebody puts in a little cebolla, and then somebody says, a little too much cebolla, but I like it. We could put some cebolla, just not too much. So I see like we put it together and everybody adds their little thing. So on some songs, somebody will write lyrics. On another song, 2 people will write lyrics. On another song, somebody writes lyrics, and then the band's like, no, go back to the drawing board and come back.
I was driving maybe about a year and a half ago. I was driving, and Lauryn Hill had just released a remake of a Nina Simone's album. Like Lauryn Hill and a bunch of other artists. And there's a song called Black is the Color of My Lover's Hair. And she did a remake of that. And I was listening to it, and it was almost like when people describe fainting. When people describe fainting, like, I'm gonna faint. I'm gonna faint right now. Like things start flashing. That's how I felt when I was listening to the song. I was driving and I felt like I was fainting. And all these ideas were going through my head. And that song was inspiring me, like her love and her obsession with loving herself came out in that song. And then I was asking myself, do I love myself? Do I love who I am? Do I feel the way she sounds? Do I care about myself as much as I feel she cares about herself? And then so then I wrote this song called Brown, about being raza, about being Chicano, like the song, like words started coming through my head, The first 4 lines just came out like brown. Brown is the color of the eyes you see. Brown is the color of the tallest tree. Brown is the color of the air I breathe. Brown is the color that protects me. Brown is not a color like red, blue, or green. Brown is a sensation like being free. Brown is not a color like red, blue, or green. Brown is a sensation like being free.
I come from the sun and the moon. The sky's my father, like the flowers I bloom. I look like my mother, her skin is dark brown. No, I look like my mother, cause I came from the ground. My heart beats the rhythms, cause it's made like a drum. And when I spit rhymes, all my ancestors come. We sing songs about the past, about the present, about our pain. And when we get together, we chant 998. From Gaza to Honduras, Guatemala, Vietnam. Yo, I'm dropping this verse for all them who dropping bombs. Those creating borders and separating my mom. For the children be rising, and we rise to this song.
And so that's where a lot of the songs for Cafeteras come from, and things that are not part of Cafetera albums that, hopefully will be in the future, pero quién sabe,
So we have this song that's on our new album. We've just started playing it. It's called Vamos to the Beach, and it's a song that I got to put together, and a song that I wrote and I brought it to the group, and we're playing it now. We recorded it. It feels really good that we're playing it. But I grew up in Oxnard, so Oxnard is a small town on the beach along the coast, about an hour north of LA, and so I'm a beach boy, man. I love the water, I got into sailing, and then I haven't done surfing, but I do all the swimming, I do a lot of snorkeling, free diving, man. I belong by the water, And so my inspiration, man, is like I love being by the water. And so in LA, it's hard, man, especially like on the east side of LA, because it's 20, 25 miles, man, but it might as well be like 50 miles because it's just hard to get there. And so with that song was me like really wanting to be out there and really like appreciating the time that I get to spend out there.
So this is right here. This is one of our new songs right here. It's gonna be on our next album. Anybody ever had like a hella hard day? You know what I'm saying? A hard week? So this is about a hard year, man. We had a
our year. And this song right here, there's one time we went to the beach together. And man, I wish it was healing, yo. And so this song's about when you're having a hard time, just stop what you're doing, man, and just go to the beach. Just go to the water, man. Let her take care of you. Put them on me, you know what I'm saying? Let her take care of you.
It's interesting, man, because a lot of people in my band, they didn't grow up we grew up in different places. I'm the only one that's not from LA. So my relationship to the water is different from that of my bandmates. So me, man, like this is what I really wanted to express the lyrics of this song in a certain way. And I know at times it felt different. Like, I know I got some suggestions of the lyrics. No, we got to make the lyrics this way. And I'm like, no, man, that's not what I'm trying to say in this song. I want the lyrics to be this way. And it's always a constant negotiation, man. But I think there's we try to respect people's, when people have that inspiration and people are really coming from this place and that's what they really want, we try to be supportive and encourage that. So fortunately, the band was down with it and we got it, man. So Vamos to the Beach is on our forthcoming album, man.
All right, guys, that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Las Cafeteras for letting us into their world. And if you want to check out more on stories like this, go to LatiNation.tv and LATV.com, and you can hit me up directly on Twitter at Humberto Vida. Till next time, peace.